All right, so 876 stream back again. We always have a lot to talk about, so we're going to just do a recap over the last just taking a recap of the last couple of weeks. Some of the major news stories, some of the developments that we see happening, some of the major talking points. And as usual, the usual suspects when it comes to 876 stream content. There is Javon. He have a future in developing Jamaica's football, but for now, he's a pundit with 876 stream. And Brian, young journalist, developing his craft, a master in his own right, in what he does. All right, so we're going to get it together fast. So, first things first. The argument I'm going to put to you guys is JFF's failure to attract some major names that's currently playing in England. We're talking about man like Calvin Phillips, good player. We're talking about players like Ainsley Maitland-Niles as well. And the usual man them from we have Raheem Sterling. We lose up Raheem Sterling years ago. And they have another player that's probably going to deny Jamaica as well, Mason Holgate. How honestly, is this a thing where we just need to accept reality and just accept that these guys aren't going to play for us? Or we chest high, like should we see it as a disappointment? This is a failure on their part. What is it, Jeff?
I was hoping you would go with Brian first because I wanted to hear this how he plan to defend the JFF, because I feel like he's going to have some kind of defense for them. However, I'm gonna take the button and run with it. All right, so there's a common theme that goes on, that comes out of players' mouth after they decline Jamaica. And though we slander Bailey for talking out on it, he actually chose us still, but made it known. And the same thing that Raheem Sterling would have said, and other players that ditched us. And there's no system in place. There's no motivation to come to Jamaica to play football. You don't get that pride that we talk about when representing your country when it comes to Jamaican football. You can see there's a difference in how the fans take to Jamaican football and how we take to track and field, for instance. And I feel like that's because, as I said before, the lack of system. There's not a system of football that goes on within local leagues as well as the international team, the national team. And I just feel like they don't. I get that feeling that they really don't care about the sport that much in Jamaica. There's not much investment that goes on. Well, in sports general, because even when they are in the presidential debate, prime minister debate or whatever, don't we have a ministry of sports and something we have to do with sport? I don't hear nothing that have to do with sports and entertainment within the country developing that. We'll focus mainly on tourism as one of our. But can you imagine mixing tourism and sport, the two greatest attractions in the world? We don't have that from the government side come down. So it's just a whole thing of, I'm not going to put it directly on JFF because from the top it thought, however, we need to do some work with the sport, G. We need to do some work with the sport. And JFF needs to start apply pressure towards government so we can start get some things in place to develop the sport, in the sporting industry itself. And yeah, just, sport life matters.
Interesting note to end on. But my quick question before we go to Brian, so just so I understand clearly what you were getting. You're saying that there's nothing that is being done behind the scenes to make the Jamaican product more attractive for people to come in. Like there's lack of investment, lack of development, lack of groundwork be happening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like we just need to put more time into creating a industry for sport itself. Look at sport as we do agriculture and tourism. From the top come down, isn't it? Because we're not, yeah. Make the fans give us something for one to see, give us something for one to watch, because we don't have no kind of enthusiasm. Is a youth to go match regular, like national match, and of late, no people stop go matches. We don't care anymore. At one time, we used to support schoolboy football a lot, and even that died down as well. So it's like the sport as on a whole just need a brush up, and we need to go back in an engine room and get some black oil and them thing, whatever you want to put in an engine and them thing. You see?
Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Javon is saying, but I personally believe that's more like a long-term issue. Yes, he's right. I am going to defend the JFF as it relates to this particular situation. And anybody who knows me knows that it's shocking news because I don't like the JFF and I don't like what they've been doing with football in Jamaica recently. But as it relates to this, getting persons to come and play for the country, I don't see anything wrong with going to a Mason Greenwood and saying, hey, would you like to play for Jamaica or a Holgate or, you know, as absurd as that sounds, obviously Greenwood is not going to play for Jamaica, but nothing asked, nothing received, right? So it shows to me that there is ambition on the JFF's part to get better players to come and play for our country. Now, is there a system in place like a philosophy like Craig Butler always talks about? No, there's no philosophy. However, if these players are available, if these players are in limbo between England and Jamaica and are wondering, you know, which country to choose, right now would be the good time to convince them to play for Jamaica. And then perhaps afterwards we can focus on implementing the philosophy. So we have less than 2 years until the 22 World Cup. So I personally believe that there's nothing wrong with the JFS attempt right now to seek new players and to bolster our squad and help us achieve that feat of going to our second ever World Cup.
But we're asking, so you're saying, so are you basically saying that it's not an indictment on the JFF per se that these guys are rejecting us, or you don't see it as a rejection? And we should put more emphasis on the fact that we are actually ambitious and trying to get these players to come.
So from a fan's point of view, a Jamaica fan point of view, it's ambitious. But obviously, if you're Greenwood, obviously if you're Holgate, if you have the opportunity to play for England, you're going to take it over Jamaica. It depends on what is more personal for these football players. I mean, we do see a lot of, you know, players who were born in specific countries but end up playing for other countries because, you know, they have a certain personal relationship with that country. We do see a lot of examples of that. So we never know if, you know, if we go link a Mason Holgate, you know, he's very fond of Jamaica and he loves Jamaica. He might say yes, you never know. And he is actually a very good defender with a lot of experience that can add a lot of quality to our team. So is it an indictment on the JFF that these players are rejecting us? Yes, but I feel like if these players are available right now, we must try and get them to see if we can, and then we focus afterwards on implementing the philosophy and implementing the structure. Because it done gone bad already. We don't have a structure, we don't have a philosophy right now. But if these players are available right now, let's try and get them.
I hope them get through Mason Holgate because Michael Keane and Yearn, you know, always start from Everton if as long as them fit. And Seamus Coleman are the captain up there. So maybe we'll have something I'll go on through this. So worse if him don't do a breakthrough above them Monday, by the time things really get into the nitty-gritty of the qualification, they might say, well, I'm there. Can't play another World Cup. I think that's what it happened in 98, 97. All right, so next thing, the possible decision of cancelling sports for the school year for 2020-2021. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Good move, too early? What do you think, Brian?
I think personally, I think it's too early. Not even too early. I think they should implement a system where they can play sports, but perhaps I don't know, follow certain COVID-19 precautions and measures. We see it happening all over the world. They're there's sports that are being played. There's tennis going on right now. There's basketball going on right now. There's football going on right now. NFL going on right now. There's a system where we can protect these players, but at the same time, we can continue to give these schools bragging rights and say, "Oh, go out and perform for your school." And you don't need to cancel the season. But if you don't want to have fans, then don't have fans. But make sure that these players are safe. Test them every game. Check them temperature, stuff like that. I think it's way too soon to cancel this season.
Javon, your thoughts? What do you think?
Just before I go into my point, I just want to say something to what Brian said just now. He made mention to professional sports getting back together and playing with professional people being paid professional money with a professional way of taking care of themselves. I haven't heard you mention nothing about NCAA, any college sport coming back, any other in the first world countries. Professional sports, yeah, we can afford to do all of that. We can afford to create a whole bubble for the NBA and do daily testing. We can't even do testing for normal residents here in Jamaica, much less they have put them schoolboy out there on the field. My whole thing is we've seen where we're already struggling without sport to get this thing under control. So really and truly, we can't even get school started properly, much less to start a whole contact sport. So my whole thing behind it is I think it should be cancelled. Well, the thing is, it's hard to say it should be because he's right. Brian is right about one thing. It's probably too early to make such a decision. However, the gut feeling right now, if you have to make that decision now, it has to be cancelled. Because, as I said, we haven't put a cap on this thing, not even socially, much less to have a whole contact sport come in where we know we won't be. We can't even afford to have 2 ambulances in case a man get injured or whatever, much less you have daily testing for these lads. So, for me, if I have to give an answer, no, it's a cancel.
When I think about, before we go to the next topic, when I think about like a shortened schoolboy football tournament of sorts, similar to MLS is back tournament, and shortened because you can get them in and out, you can get them in and play together and you get them out. So it's not like a season long thing. They might travel about big back, they might play football in all different areas. When you think about like a shortened tournament, I don't want to call it a bubble. I don't know if that's feasible in Jamaica, but when I think about what do you think of option? Do you think that would be an option to have like a shortened tournament where we can have all of the seeded teams in some way play together? Just so it's not like a Manning Cup. It could have been like a different tournament. Like I said, MLS is back tournament. Just so the players can still work for them scholarship, be attracted by scores, just to have that extracurricular activity as well.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a case like that where we're going, that for me would be a good way of still salvaging the season while giving these players an opportunity to showcase their talent. So if it's a case where again you're going to follow COVID-19 protocols, check these players, make sure that their health comes first, but still giving them the opportunity to play, then that's fine. I don't think we need to have a prolonged tournament right now. Yes, if you're September to December, kind of long, especially with the cases. We have hundreds of cases every day in Jamaica. So we still can kind of tone it down a bit. So if we can find a way to still allow these players to play football, but in a different setting, then that should be fine. So I totally agree with that.
All right. So I hear the points. Basically, we just went over some of the major developments, I would say, in sports locally. And I think people have a lot to say about this as well. You follow the Instagram page, you see the amount of people who are talking about the possible decision to cancel the season. So all in all, I think this is something where we probably can look into a little bit more and weigh up our options. All right, so the last question we're gonna discuss before we go into a different segment is Liam Bailey's situation at Bayer Leverkusen. How you guys see it? Is this something that we should come to terms with? Is a new season going to be a different one? Should he leave? One thing.
This one is a sticky one, because as you can remember, when I can remember, on the live, when we had him on the live, the IG live, we asked him about the pace that he thinks he's on. And he spoke about he thinks that he's on the right path. When him set out in path a couple of years ago, this is it. He's following that, and therefore him not gonna rush a move. And I trust, if you know me well, you know that I'm a avid, I'm a what they call it, stan of Butler. You see me? I stand with Butler and everything that he says. And so I trust that he and his agent and son have a great plan in place. And so I trust whatever he says. And if he thinks it's for him to stay there, I mean, to be honest, last season it wasn't a good season for him because of injuries and all of that. So we're talking about a guy that was in the golden boy conversation a couple years ago. And it was far below par the season he had last season. And yeah, we can attribute some of it to injury and all of that, but he wasn't getting games. And so for me, personally, I'd say to go into a system that gives you more game time so you can actually build on what you already have and then can get that big money move or whatever. But if he thinks that he's in a good situation, then I'm not going to knock his confidence. And, so Havertz left. And so we're hoping that means a more of a starter role for him there. And so we're going to put trust in our coach. I'll put trust in our coach and put trust in that he knows what he's doing. And so, but for me, he should stay at least one more season. I'm going to go with him staying another season because it wasn't a good season he's coming off of. And then to go into a new season, a new club, a new system and everything, it might check everything. So give me another season, build on what you had last season and we'll move.
All right. So I got your take. Basically you're saying that he basically trusts that he knows what he's doing. And whatever him do, you can just stick with it. You're not gonna say him for leave or whatever. I feel like hopefully Brian are gonna disagree. You know what me would say. Brian, what you think?
I mean, it's realistically and the common sense decision for Bailey would be to stay at Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, as an attacking player, he sees now where the options up front for Leverkusen have been decreased with the departure of Volland to Monaco and Havertz to Chelsea. However, they brought in Patrick Schick. He's an out-and-out striker, and perhaps Bailey could play in and around Schick. But I mean, Schick shouldn't really pose much threat to Bailey. So I believe if the coach really believes in the talent that Bailey has, then he would get more playing time. I don't believe that as a former golden boy nominee, he has really lived up to the hype. So he does have this opportunity to stake his claim and to show his talents again, so that maybe next season when he finishes, all the big names can come and sign him. So I don't believe that right now he's Chelsea quality, Tottenham quality, Arsenal quality. I see that Leeds United was in for him the other day. I'm not sure how true that is, but I mean, if he goes to Leeds, yes, that would be a good addition for him because of the style that Bielsa does play. It would fit perfectly for Liam Bailey. But I believe that he should stay one more season. He has the room now to perform, and it's up to him whether he wants to showcase how good he actually is.
Yeah, I don't think, although I think even with Leeds, I think he did very well. But I think himself, I don't think Leeds would be a lucrative destination for him right now because I think him knows him can probably get to a bigger team. Unless him think him can get there through Leeds, then fine. You think Gapur, you think he's not at the same? He's not at the level of a Chelsea or Spurs at this time. The teams that he were linked to. You think that he's not at that level right now?
I'm not going to go as far as say he's not at that level because he can be a good squad player at that level. And the operative thing being that a squad player meaning you're not really you're just one and two games, not here and there. And I don't think we want that for Bailey. And I don't think he would want that for himself. Given the season he's coming off of, that's the most he can do a job in the squad. You get me, for those clubs. As it relates to what he said, Brian said about Leeds, I don't see that as a step up in terms of, because he would be being at Bayern Leverkusen, he would be in the Champions League, no?
No.
Where did Bayern Leverkusen finish?
Europe position.
Well, Europe, right. So in playing at Europe for show him talent, which is where he got that move in the first place. So stepping down to Leeds, though it's a great system, as he mentioned, Bielsa, I don't think it's better. It's a better option for him than to just stay in the Bundesliga, which is quote unquote easier league to play in. Plus the system that Bayern, and plus he made mention to the transfers out, so he might have a better chance of being a starter, natural starter there. So,
What if not knock on wood? What if he doesn't regain his starting place in the team? I'll be surprised if he doesn't. But what if he somehow for next year, next 9 months, if not regain him starting position at the team? Should he move or should he be looking to move regardless? How would they do well or not next season?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of he should be looking to move regardless of what they're doing. His time is up now. Well, almost up now at Leverkusen. I mean, Liam Bailey is an extremely talented player. And I'm not just saying this because he's Jamaican and I'm Jamaican. It is obvious that Liam Bailey is an extremely talented player. One who can grace some of the greatest fields in world football. It's up to him to prove that he is of that caliber. Because obviously, as Gapur said, he had a very challenging season last season. A lot of injuries. But, if he does perform well this season, he still needs to go. And even if he doesn't, the only issue is if he doesn't perform well, if he doesn't get back into the starting 11, where is he going to go? Because he hasn't stated his claim. Perhaps not even Leeds United would want to sign him next season. So that's the difficulty for Liam Bailey right now. So he needs to get back into the team and he needs to perform well. But at the end of the day, he needs to leave.
But talking from the standpoint of the live that we did with him, you can see that he's a youth that will bet on himself if he has to. You see me? And so I doubt him have that in the back. I might say if there's not a good season again, where does he go? Because I'm pretty sure he might bet on himself to say, yo, I got to do what I need to do and get that move. Because as I say, it is time for him to move on, to go higher. The potential that him have, he must have looked on it, say, yo, by next season, I want to them top club there and whatever. So, But I don't think he's thinking about if him have a next bad 4 season.
All right, cool. All right, so that's the discussion. 3 major talking points. I want the people who want to watch right now, whether you watch it on Instagram or watch it on YouTube. Cooper got cut out that part depending on what we put it on. If you're watching this right now, just make a know in the comments. If you think the money will talk foolishness, or if you think you agree with them, drop a comment same way. So make a know what you guys think. Liam Bailey, JFF, schoolboy football, some major talking points. Jamaica we love sports, so all these things we'll always have discussions, always have something to talk about. So we can know that's the discussion, the argument.